Hello, everybody. What do you say, gang? It's a special edition of AD Sports. It is the NFL Wildcard weekend. First time we're doing an edition of the show that is totally dedicated to sports and, in this case, to the NFL. We've done a lot of episodes that have had NFL content that has become newsworthy. And a lot of that has dealt with the Los Angeles Raiders, their head coach being fired after it was learned of his misogynistic and racial overtones that he carried, John Gruden. Then the Los Angeles Raiders star wide receiver Henry Ruggs was involved in an accident while he was drinking that cost someone else their life. So this Los Angeles Raiders team has gone through a lot, and they are in the playoffs. The last game of the season, the Raiders played the Los Angeles Chargers, two evenly matched teams. And it was a rare situation in that a tie would result in both of the teams going to the playoffs. And they were in overtime, and they were set to end in a tie with about 30 seconds to go in the game. And coaching came into play. And in the coaching, it was arrogance versus realist. The arrogant young coach of the Los Angeles Chargers would rather lose than and think himself to be right in his decision than go into the playoffs. And the Raiders coach said from the jump that my job is to get my team into the playoffs by any means necessary. It came down to about 28 seconds to go in the game, and the Raiders were not going to call timeout. They were going to let the clock run out and end it in a tie, maybe attempt a very, very long field goal. But instead, the Chargers coach called timeout. And when he did so, the Raiders said, okay, if that's the way you want it, we'll go ahead and win it, which is what they did. Before we get into the wild card, that's how the Raiders got there. I want to talk about a couple of things that happened that were devastating to me personally as a fan of both the Chicago Bears and the Indianapolis Colts. The Bears are going to be under a full reboot now. They've fired their head coach and their general manager, and they've done this about every 2 or 3, 4 years. It seems like they fire the coach and the general manager, but they keep the team president. And the team president is the guy that hires the coaches and the general managers. So at some point, you got to say to the team president, you're not doing the job. Okay, you're not bringing in the right people. But the Bears haven't done that. And until they do, they'll keep on losing. The Indianapolis Colts collapsed. With 2 games to go in the season, they had an 82% chance of getting into the playoffs. And they didn't. They lost. And they won't be successful with their current quarterback, Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is a great guy. He's a good person. He's a nice man. But you want your quarterback to be a steely-eyed assassin. You want to be able to look in the quarterback's eyes and know that he's coming onto the field to metaphorically kill you. He's going to destroy you. And I don't see that in Carson Wentz. And they're going to have to do something, because as long as Carson Wentz is the Colts quarterback, they're not going to win. I mean, on a consistent basis, when it comes down to it, you look around the leagues and you can tell the killers. You know, I don't like most of them. Aaron Rodgers, you can look through his helmet to his eyes, and you know that he wants to kill you. Tom Brady is probably the biggest killer in the NFL, and it's overlooked. The success he's had is in large part because he wants to destroy anybody on the opposite side when he steps onto that field. And Carson Wentz doesn't have that. Now, this is all in preparation for what's coming up this weekend, because like I said, you want your quarterback to be a killer. So when it comes to picking games and setting fantasy lineups, you better make sure your quarterback's a killer. Betting on football is my way of competing. I've always been a competitor. I like competition. And now at my stage in life, I can't compete in a lot of things that I competed in the past. But I don't, I don't gamble hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars, or, I play in $3 games just to compete, just to beat everybody else that's playing in that $3 game. That's why I spend the time I do. And there are people that have problems with gambling, just like they have problems with drinking, just like they have problems with drugs or whatever it may be. So first and foremost, don't ever bet. If you have a drinking problem, you're probably going to have a gambling problem. If you have a drug problem, you're probably going to have a gambling problem. So do not ever bet any more than you can afford. And if you find out you got a problem, you got to stop. Just like anything else, you got to identify you got a problem and you got to stop. So with all that being said, let's take a look at the upcoming games. And this is through DraftKings. It's the only site I play personally, but there are several other sites, FanDuel, Caesars Sportsbook. You've seen the advertisements, but I play on one site, and that way it's a little easier to control the money, to control the rules, the scoring. And that's another thing that when you start to play fantasy football, whatever game you decide you want to play, when we get to that point, you got to know the rules of the game before you ever play. And that includes how the game is scored and things like that. But whatever you do not, if you decide you're going to play for fun, keep it fun. That's what I do. Like I said, I play a lot of $3 games, Now, if you get it exactly right, you can win $100,000 on a $3 game, but you got to have it exactly right. And we'll get to that in just a minute. Let's start off now with picking the playoff games before we get into the fantasy. You'll notice here on the board, the games, the 6 games that are set for this weekend. Now you'll notice they're lined up in what's called spread right here at the top, then point total and money line. The money line is just a straight who wins or who loses. So in money line on the first game, the Vegas Raiders and the Bengals of Cincinnati, if you bet $10 on the Las Vegas Raiders, let me move myself out of here. If you bet $10 on the Raiders to win, which I wouldn't do, you'll get $28 back because they are the underdogs. If you bet $10 on the Bengals to win because they are the favorite, you would get $14.54 back. All right. So that's the money line. The point total over and under for this game is 48, over 48 or under 48. That means the total points scored by both teams in the game. So if it's 24-24, that equals 48, and that would be a tie or a push, in that there would be no win or no loss if you made that wager. And then you've got the point spread, and this means that points are added on or detracted before the game even starts to set it at what the the odds makers deem an even playing field. Okay, so at the moment, they feel like the Raiders are 5 points. The Raiders need 5 points to start the game to make it an even playing field, or the Bengals need to give up 5 points. So that's giving 5 or getting 5. That's how it's termed in the money line or in the point spread. So there are numbers of ways of betting on anything. You can bet an individual player will get so many yards, an individual quarterback will throw so many touchdowns, a defense will score. There's tons of ways of betting, and in order not to muddy the waters too much, I'm not going to get into all of that. I'm going to get into two things that you probably have heard: a parlay and a tease. A parlay is just combining 2 or more bets to increase your odds if that bet does come off. So let's just go down and say the Raiders are going to win or stay within 5 points, and let's say the Patriots stay within 4.5, and the Eagles stay within 8 of the Buccaneers, and the 40. I'm just picking all the underdogs, okay? And this is not my picks. This is just to show you how it works. So you end up with a 6-team parlay, and let me move me over to here for now. You end up with a 6-team parlay, and if you were to bet $10 on that parlay, you would win $464.80 if all of the things happened. Now, what I like to do is I like to play what's called a tease, and I like to tease it up. And what we would do in that situation as a tease here, let me shrink down here to where, okay. What we would do as a tease here is you can pick a 6-point tease, and I don't want to do that. You can pick a 6-point tease. Let's just go 7 points. Now, what this means is you get an additional 7 points on your bet. So instead of the Raiders with 5 points, you're getting the Raiders with 12 points. Instead of the Patriots at 4.5, you're getting the Patriots plus 11.5. Now, the odds drop down to 45. Okay, so a $10 bet would get you $55 back, but you have increased your chances by adding an additional touchdown, basically, which is a possession. And football, just like most games, if you look at it and you try to play chess when you're wagering instead of trying to play checkers, you'll find yourself at an advantage. And some things to keep in mind is that the idea is not to give them your money. The idea is to make money, and you want to position yourself the best way possible to do that. That's why if I'm going to play games, pick games instead of playing a fantasy football game. If I'm picking games, I'm generally doing a tease. It cuts down on the amount I would win if it hits, but it increases my chances of hitting. And that's the way I personally prefer to do it. All right. 6 games coming up this weekend. So let's just look at them real quick. Weather. The first thing I look at when I'm going to pick games is what's the weather going to be? Is weather going to play a part in the games? Potentially it will this weekend. Out of the 6 games, weather may impact 4 out of the 6. There are 2 indoor games. Monday night's game, the Cardinals and the Rams is going to be inside at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. And the other indoor game is going to be the Cowboys and the 49ers. It's the 4:30 game on Sunday. And it's also the Nickelodeon game. If you've got kids, it's a fun way to watch the game. They have SpongeBob's on there, Young Sheldon's on there. They got Slime on there. They go into detail about what the penalties are, what entails a penalty. And Oakley, pardon me, the doofus dog. Somebody's outside and she's letting us know about it. But that's the 4:30 game. And those two games are indoors. They should not be impacted by weather conditions, obviously. The Cowboys and the 49ers at 4:30 on Sunday. And then the Monday night game at 8:20, the Cardinals and the Rams. Those two games aren't going to be impacted by weather. The other four games may be. First game of the docket is the Bengals and the Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders come to Cincinnati. It's going to be cold Saturday in Cincinnati and throughout the Midwest, and we might be having some snow or ice. So that's something to consider. It's going to be harder to throw the ball. It's going to be harder to catch the ball. The advantage goes to the runners and the receivers in that they know where they're going and the defenses don't. So the first game it could impact. The second game is Buffalo. It's the dreaded New England Patriots and Bill Belichick going into Buffalo. And that's Saturday night's game. The Saturday night game in Buffalo, they are terming the weather conditions to be close to Arctic conditions. They're saying a high in the daytime on Saturday of 9 degrees with a low of below 0. Now, we saw a Buffalo and New England game earlier in the year where the wind was blowing so hard, the snow was coming down so hard that the New England Patriots only tried to throw the ball 3 times in the whole game. So weather can impact your game, and it can impact it should impact your decision-making. Now, the other 2 games that could be impacted are both on Sunday. The first game on Sunday, the 1 o'clock game on Sunday, is the Philadelphia Eagles playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And there could be a storm in Tampa Bay. They're predicting a storm conditions as a possibility. Just check on that Sunday morning before the Sunday 1 o'clock game. And then the final game that could potentially be impacted by weather will be also on Sunday. It's the Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs hosting Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that's probably the game that will be least impacted by weather, in my opinion, this far out. Again, we're talking 24 to 36 hours, 48 hours, depending upon it. The Monday game, which is inside. So that's really not going to play into anything. But I'm going to give you my picks real quick. I really like what the Raiders have done. I'm not going to pay any, you can decide your spreads and your totals and your money lines. I'm not going to pay any attention to that. I'm just going to say that the Raiders have had an incredible year. They've overcome. This is probably the game that is hardest for me to pick. But when it comes right down to it, which quarterback is a steely-eyed assassin? And that's Joe Burrow, the quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals, in my opinion. Derek Carr is a great guy. I don't think he has the killer instinct. I think Joe Burrow does. And with the weapons around him, I'm going to pick the Bengals in this game straight up, not playing the odds or playing the points. The New England Patriots and the Bills. A lot of people, it's New England, it's Bill Belichick, it's that mystique of the evil empire and the hoodie genius. And he is. He's a defensive genius. He's the most successful coach in NFL history. And I don't like him, but you got to respect him. Or at least in my opinion, I respect him. But I'm going to take the Bills just because their quarterback is a guy named Josh Allen from North Dakota. And he's a steely-eyed assassin. Quarterback for the Patriots is a young kid named Mac Jones, and he's going to be good. He's a young Tom Brady. He's not a steely-eyed assassin yet. So I'm picking the Bills. Third game on the docket, 49ers against the Cowboys. Two teams I really don't like. Two organizations I really don't like, but they're great. And that's one of the reasons some of us don't like certain teams, is because of the successes they've had in the past. Just never been a big fan of Jerry Jones or the Dallas Cowboys. And that stems from Thanksgiving Day. Going back to being a kid, when both of my cousins, Charlie and Jeff Sorrell, were big Dallas Cowboy fans, and I was a Bears fan. And of course, the Cowboys always beat the Bears. So never a fan of the Cowboys, but that, when it comes to picking the game, you've got a San Francisco 49ers team that likes to run the football, and they will be a run-centric, smack you in the mouth kind of team. You got the Dallas Cowboys, which have had a reputation of smacking you in the mouth with the run game, but their star running back, Ezekiel Elliott, just doesn't, in my opinion, have the burst that he has had previously. And I think Tony Pollard, the Cowboys running back, the backup Cowboys running back, is probably the better of the two. But they've paid Elliott so much money, they have no choice but to feature him. This game is a 3.5-point game. From the odds makers, it's deemed the closest of the three. I think the Cowboys probably win the game at home. And I don't think either one of these quarterbacks, Dak Prescott, Dak short for Dakota, Dak Prescott, the quarterback of the Cowboys, and Jimmy Garoppolo, former backup to Tom Brady in New England, who's now the quarterback for the 49ers. Neither one of them are steely-eyed assassins. However, they've got steely-eyed assassins on the defenses. And we'll talk more about that when we get into the individual daily fantasy. But at the moment, I'm going to say the Cowboys will hold serve, and they will end up beating the 49ers in a very close game. Steelers and the Chiefs, the fifth game to pick. Ben Roethlisberger is in the playoffs, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are in the playoffs because the Los Angeles Chargers coach called a timeout and didn't take the tie, and Las Vegas Raiders won that game. By winning that game, the Chargers are out of the playoffs, and the Steelers are in. A tie would have eliminated them. So the Steelers are on house money, if you will. They probably shouldn't have made the playoffs, but yet here they are. And Ben Roethlisberger is going to retire after the season, more than likely. So this, to me, is the best bet of the day, taking the Steelers and 12.5 and putting them with at least one other team and teasing it up to 19.5. The Chiefs probably win the game, but I don't think they blow out the Steelers. So that's my featured individual bet. Take the Pittsburgh Steelers at 12.5, put them in a parlay position with at least one other team that you feel good about the point spread, tease it up, and then increase your betting amount if you so desire. If you don't want to, pick all six and put a small amount bet, and you're in a position to do so. take the Steelers, the 12.5, along with one other team, and tease that up to 19.5. And I think that's probably the safest play of the whole weekend. The Chiefs will win the game, but they're not going to blow them out by 21.5. And the Steelers could come in there and surprise them because they've got a steely-eyed assassin or two on the defense. And again, we'll talk more about that coming up in the individual. Final game, the Cardinals and the Rams. The Rams are the all-stars. They've brought in stars from other teams to make an all-star roster, and they're expected to dominate. Let's take a look at the two quarterbacks. Kyler Murray, he's 5'8", supposed to be way too short to play quarterback. All he does is just throw the ball all over the place and run like a video game, if you've never seen the young man play. I don't think he's an assassin yet. I don't think he's a steely-eyed assassin yet. Matt Stafford comes from Detroit. He played for the Detroit Lions for over a decade and got an incredibly strong arm. I don't know if he's a killer. I don't know if when the game's on the line, he wants the ball to make sure he controls the outcome of the game. And that's what you got to have in a quarterback. You got to have a quarterback that just wants to kill the opposition with his arm. Not, I'm not talking violence. I'm not talking actual death. I'm just talking gameplay kill. Okay. Let's just make sure we got that straight. All right. So in that game, I'm taking the Cardinals in an upset. I think the Cardinals beat the Rams at home. And I think it's because of the inspiration of a guy named J.J. Watt, who's coming back to play after having his shoulder dislocated, his labrum torn. And basically, he was supposed to be out 4 to 6 months. He's coming back and if he's cleared, he could be a difference maker. Not because he's going to make a bunch of tackles, but because of the attention he's going to draw that's going to free up the guy on the other side of the line known as Chandler Jones. He's the guy that's going to make the actual defensive disruptions, impacts, sacks, big plays. But it's because J.J. Watt's back out there and drawing attention. Okay, that's just kind of where I see this thing playing out. So we got an upset with the Cardinals. We got the Chiefs winning but not covering, especially if we do if we tease it up to 19.5. We've got the Cowboys holding on to outlast the 49ers. We've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning. We've got the Bills winning, and we've got the Bengals winning on the strength of when push comes to shove, you want your quarterback to be a killer. So let's flip over to daily fantasy. And before we start, there are two ways basically to look at daily fantasy as far as lineup structures. And one way is to pick stars, quote unquote, the big name players that everybody recognizes. They generally cost more, and you pick the stars that you want, and then you just fill in with other players in order to stay under the budget. The budget's normally $50,000 in fake money. Or you build a balanced roster from top to bottom with as far as money, because you got to stay within a budget or a salary cap, if you would. So those are the two basic principles. You either balance your lineup or you have a top heavy lineup of stars, and you hope that the players you put underneath those stars produce. It'll be easier to see once I actually create a lineup here. Some terms that are in the fantasy world: stack. That means putting two players of the same team into your lineup, stacking them. And a term called chalk. Chalk's a big gambling term. It means the favorite. Betting with the favorite is betting the chalk. And contrarian is another term you'll probably hear in the daily fantasy realm. That is playing opposite of what you think everybody else is going to play. So let's just look here on the homepage, and let's see. Well, first of all, let's just go to NFL. I don't bet NBA. I don't bet baseball. I don't bet college football. I only play the NFL. Those that watch the show, I've talked about the fact that if you watch sports, if you watch all sports, man, you've wasted a whole lot of time. If you sit down and you watch every basketball game, you watch every baseball game, you watch racing, you watch football, college and pro, basketball, college and pro, you got a whole lot of time invested. I just, a few years back, I realized the amount of time that I had taken up watching a whole bunch of sports, and I just pared it down, and I focus on the NFL, and that's all I focus on. So you'll find a lot of guys giving you advice on all sports. I take that with a grain of salt, personally. Focus on one is how I look at it. So we get the NFL, we get the wild card weekend, and we've got let's see, here's the game. Actually, I want the big game. Each week they have at least one. Here it is. Well, that's $100 one. Wow. Okay. Let's just do this. We'll go to lineups, and we'll create a lineup. Okay. Now, creating a lineup, first of all, you'll see, and again, this is a lot for those that are just starting out and may not have ever played fantasy. I'm going through kind of the rudimentary way of doing it. And for those of you that are seasoned players and you want some tips or picks, hang in there, it's coming. So we'll click on NFL, and you'll see there are multiple games that you could play. You can play the Classic, you can play Madden Classic, Madden Showdown, and these are based on people playing the Madden game. I don't do those. You can play in-game Showdown, Showdown Captain Mode. I play Showdown Captain Mode on individual games, and I play Classic on multiple game formats. So we'll go Classic. Oh, pardon me. And we'll pick starting at 1 o'clock Sunday. Right here, we'll pick the 3 Sunday game. No, let's do this. Let's just go up here and we'll pick the 6 games. So we're going to have all the players from all 6 games to choose from. And as it loads, you'll see that you have a $50,000 salary over here, okay? That means you fill up the 9 positions: quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, a position called flex, where you can put a running back, a wide receiver, or a tight end, and then a defense and special teams. So if you're a first-time player, you might come on here and go, gosh, Josh Allen, I want Josh Allen. He's getting 26 fantasy points a game. So I'm going to take Josh Allen, and I want the top 2 running backs. So I'm going to get Joe Mixon and Najee Harris, because that's what they say the top running backs are. Then I'm going to get Cooper Kupp, and I'm going to get Deebo Samuel, and I'm going to get Jamar Chase. You got a ton of stars. You also have $1,433 left to fill up 3 positions, which can't be done. The lowest price you can pay for a running back is $4,000. Lowest price you can pay for a wide receiver is $3,000. For a tight end, it's $2,500. So while it would be nice to have all of these stars, you can't create a lineup that way. My method is I have what I like to call building blocks. I have 1 or 2 players in mind when I'm creating a lineup that I know I want them on my team no matter what. Now, as I said earlier, there's a difference between a killer and a player. Somebody wants to dominate and destroy, and somebody that's out there trying to do their best. Okay. And you start with your quarterback, you start with your defense, you start with a running back, however you build your lineup is going to be up to you. Me, I pick building blocks, and my building block in this game is wide receiver Deebo Samuel from the San Francisco 49ers. He's the guy I want on my team no matter what. No matter how the budget works, this guy's going to be in there. Guy I personally believe will be one of, if not the highest scoring players throughout the 6 games. So I've got Deebo in here. Deebo cost $8,100. That's the second highest price wide receiver. However, I said earlier on, you've got to know the rules of the game you're playing, and especially how the game is scored. With Deebo Samuel, you're going to get 1 point for every time he catches the ball, point per reception, PPR. He catches the ball a lot. He runs the ball out of the backfield. You're going to get points for his yardage running. You're going to get points for his catches. You're going to get points for his receiving yards. And you're going to get points when he gets the ball in the end zone, if he does. I think he scores 1, maybe 2 touchdowns against the Cowboys, and he's my building block. I'm going to give you a quarterback. Josh Allen, if you want to pay up and get him, he's playing the number 2 ranked defense in the New England Patriots. It's going to be a weather game. Receivers could have trouble catching the ball. Little known fact, Josh Allen has poor circulation from his knees down. His feet get really cold in really cold weather. So that could impact him. Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes is an assassin. He's a steely-eyed assassin. Tom Brady, Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford, Jalen Hurts. Now, you see, these quarterbacks, they go from $6,100 into your budget to $7,800 into your budget. That's a swing of $1,700. Jalen Hurts is averaging 21 points, almost 22 points a game. Josh Allen's averaging 26. How important are points per game? I've gotten beat 3 times. I've been out of the money in 3 separate weeks by less than 1 point. And one time it was 0.04, a half a yard. You get a yard. If you get one yard, you get 1 point for 10 yards rushing the football. Okay. A half a point, a half of a half a point is what I got beat by in one game, 0.04. So every point is important in competing and in potentially winning. You also have to stay within the budget. This is why I like Jalen Hurts as a budget play. He's not a building block. He's not somebody I have to have. That's the other thing. Don't fall in love with a player. Don't, oh my gosh, I've got to have him because he's going to give me 20 points. That's great. He may cost you $9,000 and get you 20 points. There may be 2 other players that costs you $4,500. That'll each get you 15 points. So you spend 9,000 and get 20 points, or you spend 9,000 and get 30 points. Jalen Hurts, because he's going to run the football, and because the Eagles are built to run the football, and again, you got to know the rules and you got to know the scoring. If a quarterback runs a ball in, he gets 6 points. If he throws a touchdown pass, he gets 4 points. Keep that in mind. I'm going to give you a running back that a lot of people are overlooking, not even talking about. From San Francisco 49ers, Eli Mitchell. He's averaging 16.4 points per game. He cost you $5,500. He's in San Francisco. They're playing against Dallas. San Francisco's going to run the ball a lot. He's going to get touches. That's the other thing. You want to build your lineups around people that are going to hold on to the ball, people that are going to have the ball. You don't score any points if you don't have the ball. So you want a wide receiver that you know is going to get a lot of attempts. They're going to pass the ball to him a lot. You want a running back that is going to get the ball a lot, plus is going to catch passes, because he too will get 1 point for each pass he catches, and points are big. So he doesn't catch many passes out of the backfield. That's Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel, while a wide receiver, also lines up in the backfield. Give you a tight end to possibly build around. Top tight end is going to be Travis Kelsey from the Kansas City Chiefs. Kelsey's been kind of beat up, and he cost you $6,700. $4,700, you're going to get Zach Ertz, the tight end from the Arizona Cardinals. He started out in Philadelphia. He was traded to Arizona early in the year when Max Williams, the tight end of the Cardinals, was injured and put on injured reserve and lost for the year. They traded for Zach Ertz, and the Arizona receiving core is a little bit beat up. This guy's going to be a prime target of Kyler Murray, in my opinion, Monday night. So he's somebody you might want to consider getting into your lineup. And then we will go to the defenses. 6 games, 12 teams, 12 defenses, going from $3,400 to $2,400. If you have put together a lineup with, let me just go back here, and I'm going to put Cooper Kupp in at $9,000. That's a lot of money. I'm going to put the Cowboys, Tony Pollard, running back that I mentioned earlier. And we're down to $3,700 per player, 11,300 total. So to save money, plus knowing that what I've said about the defense of the Steelers, the game's going to be closer than people think. And the Steelers at $2,400 have the potential to pay off. And it also frees you up to now go from 37 to 44 on your remaining 2 players. And let's just pick 44. Let's pick, this is a guy I would probably have in a lineup at a budget. Wilson, the third receiver of the Dallas Cowboys. CD Lamb, Amari Cooper, they're the 2 top wideouts for the Cowboys. Now, San Francisco has a good defense. Their weakness is their secondary. So the Cowboys are going to be passing the ball a lot. Their best defensive player for San Francisco is going to be taking out or trying to take out either CD Lamb or Amari Cooper, which is going to open up a lot of opportunities for Wilson, this third receiver from Dallas. And then let's just drop in our flex. Let's go down and see who's eligible, starting at $4,500. And let's just put in Kenyon. Let's put in Kenyon Bourne here for $4,500 from the New England Patriots, because the Patriots could be behind. I think they're going to be behind, and they're going to have to throw the ball more than they want to. And Kenyon Bourne, probably a top target of Mac Jones. So there we've spent all of our $50,000 in fake money. We've built our roster, and looking at it from top to bottom, there aren't a lot of holes. The one thing you don't want to do is put yourself in a position where you're going to get zeros. Now, there are going to be people injured. There are going to be circumstances where you're going to get a 0 or 2, but you don't want to build your roster and have a spot where you go, gosh, I hope that person gets me a point. And you can find yourself that way in that situation, especially if you're using stars and you're building from the top down instead of building a balanced roster. So just some advice, just some stuff to throw out there, and wish you good luck. Hopefully some of this helped some of you, and we'll be back next weekend with the divisional round, when we go from 12 teams to 8 teams. 2 teams on a bye this weekend. The Green Bay Packers are not playing because they finished first in the NFC, National Football Conference, and the Tennessee Titans because they finished first in the American Football Conference. So they both have a bye week. They both advance in the playoffs, and we'll find out next week who they play. And we'll talk about this again next week. We'll build another. Actually, we'll, instead of just showing how it's done, we'll sit down and maybe try to build a really good competitive roster. Thank you all. Oh, you know what I'm going to do real quick? Let's go back and look at an individual game, one of the 6 individual games. We'll do that real quick. We'll create the lineup. Again, we'll go to NFL. Only instead of classic, we're going to go to showdown captain mode. And let's pick Pittsburgh and Kansas City. Okay. The late game on Sunday night, the Sunday night football in America game. Now, this game, again, as I've said, you got to know the rules and you got to know the scoring. And when you play an individual game, that means you're only getting the players from that game. Whereas we picked a game where you had players from all 6 of the games that were going to be played. This one is just between these 2 teams. The idea, you pick the 6 best players, 6 highest scorers that you can fit in, again, a $50,000 budget. Now, this is unique in that at the top, you'll see a crown. That is the captain position. And in order to put a player in that position, you have to pay 1.5 times more for that player than that player's originally budgeted salary. But you get 1.5 points every time that player scores. So let's say you put a kicker up there, which I've done and made money. It's not advised. It's not normal play. But let's just say you play a kicker up there, and the kicker kicks a field goal, and the field goal is worth 3 points. Instead of 3 points, you get 4.5 because you get 1.5 times the normal score. So figuring out who your captain is going to be is a big deal in playing the individual games. Again, many people may come in and just go, okay, well, Patrick Mahomes scores 23 points on average. That's way higher than anybody else, so he's going to be my captain. Okay, he costs you $17,700. He takes away over a third of your budget in just one player at that spot. However, if he gets you 20 points, your actual score is going to be 35 points because you get a 1.5 bonus for each time. So constructing these lineups, lots of strategies involved. The way I personally do it is I look for someone that is not one of the top 5 or 6 players, but yet somebody that's going to score. A star tight end, a Tony Pollard, a second running back that I know is better than their first running back, or a kicker at times. And it's crazy to play a kicker because they don't touch the ball a lot, but when they do, they can have impact. Now, also, again, rules and scoring. They score a field goal from 30 yards or closer as 3 points. From 40 yards to 50 yards, it's a 4-point field goal. And plus 50, anything over 50 yards gets you 5 points. So a kicker with a real strong leg, a team with a game where you've got 2 pretty decent defenses that may not allow touchdowns, they're going to be field goals kicked. That may be a situation where you want to play a kicker. Why? Let's run 2 lineups real quick. Okay, let's put Mahomes up there. Tyreek Hill, Najee Harris, the running back. Let's just put what we can fit, the top 4 players we can fit in here, all with really good scoring averages. But it only leaves us $1,000 per player for the other 2. And you come down here and you're looking at the number 3 running back for Kansas City, the number 5 wide receiver for Pittsburgh. These are situations where you get down here and you may get zeros, and you don't want zeros, especially when you only got, you've only got six potential places to score. You get 2 zeros. Yeah, these 4 guys may get you a whole bunch of points, but again, one of these guys getting you 18 points and you got 2 spots with zeros. Wouldn't it be better to have 3 people getting you 10 points instead of 1 getting you 18 and 2 getting 0? So let's look at it a different way. Let's pick our captain, and this is the way actually, let me just show you. I've already played this game, and here's what I've done. I've already entered it, and I think I've already entered. Maybe I haven't entered it yet. Let's see. Well, I haven't entered it, but here's how I actually played that game. I put McCole Hardman as my captain. I put Patrick Mahomes, Harris, Kelsey, Johnson, and Smith-Schuster. Now, that's just the way I played it. It can be played, like I said, any number of ways, and that's the beauty of it, is that there are so many different possible ways of playing these games. That it's incredibly competitive, and you'll find people that invest thousands of dollars in each game, playing 20 teams, playing 20 individual plays, based upon which game it is. Let me go back to the lobby and see if the big game will pop up. So that there it is. It did. Okay. 2.5 million fantasy football millionaire game. Okay. This costs you $25 to enter. All right. There are going to be 118,600 people playing in that game. And let's see if there's a limit. You can enter up to 150 times. So there are people that are putting 150 different combinations into this game. paying $25 each time they do it in order to try to win $1 million, because it is so competitive and there are so many different combinations. So don't just jump in and say, oh, I'm gonna pay $25 and win $1 million. Think about it a little bit, because somebody out there is putting 150 different options up against you. And the more options you have, the better your chances, of course. And let's just look at that real quick with what I've already got set up here. The Sunday games. All right. Actually, let's go right here. The 3 different plays for Saturday, or for the 2 games on Saturday, the Bengals and the Raiders, and the night game, the Bills and the Patriots. 3 different ways of playing it from defense up. So without the same players, without many of the same players, it's again, it's here we go. Okay, so I've got to look and see. I may not have shared any of that. I hope I did, but I'll go back and check this out. So there we go. That's an edition of AD Sports, a rare edition, and NFL Wildcard weekend. And we'll be back next weekend and try to do it all over again. So thanks for watching. Always appreciate it. Of course, hit the subscribe button, hit the like, share, and leave a comment if you would. If you want to contact me, you can do so, americandufus, all one word, at gmail.com. And if you'd like to help support the show, you can do so through the Cashapp at $americandufus, all one word. Dufus is D-U-F-U-S. So thanks for watching. We'll be back soon. Good luck. Hope you win a bunch of money. And if you do so, let me know. Love y'all. Thank you. Have a great weekend.